make sure a lot of the background noise, because it seems like every time we go live, there's some bullshit in the background. Good. Peace, y'all. Welcome to the Knowledge Keepers Klub. KKK, gang. We are here. We are starting another book. Yesterday was cool because we read the Bill of Rights and the Constitution already, so we don't have to read. Well, we could read it again later, but it's read. And we read that at the end of the last book. So, that's pretty cool. We have officially gone over all 3 of the How to Meet Your Strongman books. So you guys can catch the older videos for that. And it's fun there. So now we're going to read How to Outsmart the Credit Bureaus, everything you needed to know about credit bureaus. We're going to learn about that today, right now. No, I was looking for my other pillow to put my leg up, but it's okay. All right, so here's the author statement. I am a person who believes in the power of faith in God and yourself. Albert Einstein once said, imagination is greater than knowledge because it is infinite. I disagree. I think that a person can dream and imagine a different circumstance his entire life, but without knowledge, he will never find a way out of his situation. There are many people who do not know where they stand in life simply because they have no knowledge about themselves. They do not understand how powerful they can become. How a person is born depends on the favor of God. How a person dies depends on how he uses the favor that God has given him. You may be born a pawn, but you can die a queen. For those who disagree with the information I provided in this book, think about people who are born every day into poverty in the richest country in the world. Where there is poverty, there is crime. Where there is crime, there is ignorance. Where there is ignorance, there are those seeking to exploit that ignorance. This keeps many at the finish line of life, even before they can begin to start the race and accomplish their dream. Gasp. Hey, goddess. So here's the introduction. Merriam-Webster defines credit as the favorable estimate of a person's character, reputation, or good name. My definition is the accumulation of debt for the purpose of creating a good name. I do not think that Webster's calculated or considered the trials and financial problems that a person may face during the struggle of trying to live. I am sure there will be many upstanding individuals who will not agree with some of the practices and procedures I have disclosed throughout this book. But I guarantee that these people are having no problem obtaining credit for the purpose of feeling like they have a good name. What I mean by this is most of us feel a sense of pride when we apply for credit and receive it, as opposed to feeling embarrassed or disappointed when we do not. Most people do not realize that credit bureaus are in the business of making money, just like any other company. All 3 are listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Have you ever considered that credit bureaus are monopolies? They have no morals, ethics, or respect for any laws put in place to govern their establishments. Do you think that regulators are enforcing any laws? If they were, then 35% of the population would not have bad credit. Credit bureaus are nothing more than big corporations that are in bed with the government to contain the economically deprived and the financially illiterate individuals who work every day only to make the rich richer. It is bigger than slavery because all the disposable income that these individuals produce goes to the banks, insurance companies, and the credit bureaus. I would like to offer you a quote from Julius Wilson. The culture of poverty is both an adaptation and a reaction of the poor to their marginal position in class stratified, highly individuated capitalistic society. The culture of poverty tends to perpetuate itself from generation to generation because of its effect on the children. By the time poor children are age 6 or 7, they have usually absorbed the basic values and attitudes of their subculture and are not psychologically geared to take full advantage of changing conditions or increased opportunities which may occur in their lifetime. And that is within certain exceptions, because some of y'all experience these things and it motivates y'all to want the opposite. But for the majority, we know that this rules. In other words, the rich get richer and the poor are trained by the rich to believe they are meant to remain poor. This means they are not seeking ways to outsmart the rich. Those individuals who are afraid to take risks of advancing in life because of the fear that their risk is only a failure waiting to manifest itself will forever remain a slave to those who control politics, school systems, corporations, and churches. There are many things to be learned from the American economy. Some of these lessons are unforgiving. This book is meant to be a guide and a server of information as it relates to names and credit. The bureaus have been a monument of anxiety, frustration, happiness, fear, and most of all, puzzlement for many since the beginning of their existence. I have researched them for 3 years, devouring their computer systems and their laws. I have come to realize that computers are only as smart as the individuals who create them. And with that in mind, I am reminded of that same old cliche. There is always someone out there who is smarter than you. I wanted to be the individual who was smarter than the person who designed the computer systems for the credit bureaus. You see, any system can be broken if you figure out which link holds the chain together. When I began putting together a guide to help people overcome the stress of having bad credit, I was not doing it for the purpose of earning money or taking advantage of those individuals who are ignorant to what I do. Before I begin explaining or exposing the secrets that credit bureaus do not want you to know, let me just say that you must have a positive attitude as well as an open mind in order to put my instructions to work. For people to be successful at anything, they must have a positive and optimistic attitude. If you have a negative mindset, then it will produce a negative result. Please, when reading this book, understand that everything that I have provided has been tried and proven. The history of the credit bureaus. The only way to defeat any enemy is to know where he is, as well as who he is and the weapons he has at his disposal. I'm going to give you a brief history of the 3 credit bureaus and the people who control them. There is no better way to gain social control over a population than information. This can be used as a defense or an offense. It can be used to create hope as well as fear. Let us first examine Experian, which is not even an American company. Experian's history dates back to 1897 when James Chilton helped the Dallas company record its customers' credit information in notebooks. The Chilton Corporation was a credit reporting agency that was acquired by TRW Information Systems and Services in 1989. TRW dates back to 1958 when Thompson Machine Products purchased Ramo Woolridge, an aerospace company headquartered in LA. Ramo Woolridge changed its name to TRW and was involved in many defense contracts. It was a major part of the military-industrial complex. In 1996, TRW sold its information systems and services to Tom Lee and Bain Capital Industries for $1.1 billion. That same year, Tom Lee renamed the company Experian and sold it to the Great Universal Stores for $1.7 billion. Great Universal Stores is a 100-year-old British holding company located in the United Kingdom. It also owns CCN Group, Europe's largest credit reporting agency. The same year that GUS purchased TRW from Tom Lee, TRW and CCN Group merged to form what is now known as Experian. So basically, this dates back to 1897. They had customers. They used to record their credit information. And then TRW is actually an aerospace company, and they make military things. That's interesting. Okay, so Experian's United States headquarters is in Costa Mesa, California. Its primary business is managing huge computer databases that store information on customer buying patterns and their credit history. Experian is paid each time a request is made for a credit from a consumer. If there are more than 200 million credit files stored in their database, how much do you think they are making a day from inquiries alone? Here is something else to think about. Experian is the 15th largest internet company in the world and owns LowerMyBills.com, the Home Shopping Network, Burberry, and AutoCheck, which gives title reports to automobiles that are being sold or accepted for trade. This system is used by more than 97% of auto dealers in the United States. Later, I will explain why this is important when it comes to guarding your personal information. TransUnion had a very interesting beginning. That dates back to the 1800s and John D. Rockefeller, who owned Standard Oil. Standard controlled oil shipping because of its monopoly on all the tank cars in the United States. It was doing great until the government stepped in to regulate its hold on the rail car industry. After the government started creating problems for the Standard Oil, it created a Union Tank Line Company, a standalone corporation, in 1891. In 1911, the United States Supreme Court dissolved Standard Oil, making Union Tank Line an independent corporation. In 1919, Union Tank Line amended its name to Union Tank Car Company and began to be publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. Due to the nature of its business and leasing, selling oil tank cars, and the possibility of profit loss, the company had to keep records on its customers. Union Tank Car Company wanted its record keeping to be detailed, so they bought the Credit Bureau of Cook County in 1967. In 1968, Union Tank Car Company created TransUnion as its parent holding company. In 1972, it started a system that stored data on tapes and disks. In 1981, Union Tank Car Company sold TransUnion to the Marmon Group, a company that is privately owned by Pritzker of Chicago, Illinois, during a time when the business was failing. The Marmon Group takes its name from the Marmon motor car that created the Roadster that won the Indy 500 in 1911. The Marmon Group was started in 1902 by Nicholas Pritzker. Today, the Pritzkers not only own TransUnion, but they also own the Hyatt hotel chain, Ticketmaster, Royal Caribbean Cruises, Accrutronics, Hammond Organ Company, Pritzker Family Children's Zoo in Chicago, First Health Group, Nabisco, Elgin Grand Victoria Casino, Colson Corp, Pritzker Realty Group, and Pritzker Military Library. In 2004, the Pritzker family was number 47 on the list of the world's richest people. And I'll spell that for you. It's Pritzker. You can look them up to see all the things that they own. Most people are familiar with Equifax simply because of good marketing and advertising. Equifax is the leader when it comes to credit reporting agencies. It was founded by Cater and Guy Woolford, two brothers from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Cater was part owner in the local grocery store and kept credit. Thank you for the gift. What? Yeah, Pritzker. Pritzker family. The Marmon Group. If you see that on there, that's them. Cater was part owner in a local grocery store and kept credit history on their customers, mainly for their town's Retail Grocers Association. In 1899, Cater talked to his younger brother Guy into moving to Atlanta, Georgia to start a business. Guy wasn't an attorney at the time. His practice was not doing so well. Cater wanted to relocate to Atlanta because he saw opportunity there because of the population. That same year, they started a business called Retail Credit Company. In the beginning, they sold a merchant's guide, which contained the credit records of many citizens who lived in the city. The first guide was sold to a department store called J.M. High Company. In 1901, Retail Credit Company discovered that more money could be made in the life insurance industry, since in 1901, insurance was associated with credit. Damn. Retail Credit Company was incorporated in 1913, and by 1916, it was also involved in the mortgage business. During this time, there was major dollars being made in the insurance and mortgage businesses, and Retail Credit Company capitalized on those industries. In 1970, Congress passed their Fair Credit Reporting Act, setting limits on the data that credit bureaus could have on one person. That same year, retail credit companies' credit files became automated. So that was their way of overriding that. So all this virtual reality shit is really like these different corporations' way of finding a gray area to all the stuff they couldn't do in the physical. And that's why when we get into the strawman and all that, it's a lot about getting off the virtual and getting back into the physical, like all the automated payments and virtual bills and all that shit. That makes it so you can't use the negotiable instrument and stuff. Anywho, in 1971, Retail Credit Company began trading on the New York Stock Exchange. During this time, it was discovered that Retail Credit Company had many errors containing within its record keeping. As a result, it changed its name to Equifax. Over the years, Equifax had grown into a billion-dollar industry. In 1994, Equifax entered into a joint venture with the Association Nacional de I didn't pronounce that Spanish like, but it's the Asociación Nacional de Entidades de financial, whatever, to operate a Spanish credit reporting company. Equifax is a beast that has control of many insurance and healthcare entities. This should be a warning to you as a consumer because it may be invading your privacy even when you are unaware. For years, Equifax and AT&T have been working on a sophisticated network allowing medical records to be accessed and downloaded by any doctor or specialist a person visits. Back in March 95, Equifax and AT&T issued a press release stating they were joining to form its new Healthcare Information Services Group, a cluster of 6 businesses with more than 50 interrelated products and services. If this happens, they will control the nation's largest network repository of medical records. And that's what helps the HIPAA policy was a response to that. So like your healthcare information is not to be sold. So anybody that has healthcare information on their credit report, oh yeah, take them asses to court and get your bread. They violated. They violated. Stop letting these people scare you into thinking they're going to put your health stuff on your credit because they can't. They're not allowed to. They're not supposed to. They just shot Trump. Keep in mind that Equifax holds Health Checks Industries, Osborne Laboratories, and Hold on.
Trump rushed off stage by Secret Service as bangs heard at Pennsylvania rally.
What?
Wow. I already knew people were already sick of both sides. So, it's not surprising.
That's not cool, though. He's okay, though. He just got shot and his ear was bleeding. Jesus Christ.
Well, not everybody knows they're only figureheads.
Well, yeah, they're only figureheads. But Trump the one that's been tell everybody about this strawman shit because that's how he moves. And he don't got no problem with opening his mouth about it. Wow. That's wild. And that is not okay.
What we were just saying last session, this country is not a state of blood, something?
It shouldn't be. Oh, all of those James Adams and all those quotes we were reading in regards to like, yo, you gotta be in alignment with my yacht, yo. You have to be. All of that behavior is only going to bring back equal opposite energy. And that's not what you want. That's not what the people really want. Y'all really don't want to live in a life where you got these folks scared that y'all going to shoot them because you know what they're going to do. They're going to hire your family members that y'all so proud to send off into the military to point their guns at you. That's exactly what the fuck is going to happen. That's not what you want. Y'all got to be a little bit more intentional than that. This is why knowledge is a power and ignorance allows you to be controlled. Because you can be controlled so much that you think that showing up to somewhere and shooting at somebody is the answer. And it's not. They're just going to replace him with somebody else that really don't give a fuck. Peace. Peace, peace, peace. Equifax and Lotus Development Corp are trying to put names, addresses, and profiles of more than 100 million consumers on a single CD-ROM. This system will enable a marketer to print up a mailing list of possibly every woman aged 25 to 45 with a household income of more than $60,000 within a 10-mile radius. Remember, TransUnion owns First Health Group. The point I'm trying to make is that this truly may be a mark of the beast. Equifax has been in the same insurance business since 1901, and even today, one of its biggest clients is FedEx, which contracts out of its property damage data into a division of Equifax called Insurance Information Services. Not only does Equifax handle commercial clients, it runs huge data banks for the auto and home insurance industry. This data bank is called CLUE, short for Comprehensive Loss Underwriting Exchange. This system tracks your auto accidents and claims on your homeowner's insurance. Equifax also controls ChoicePoint, which is the New York Stock Exchange. Choice Point's database holds at least 20 billion social security numbers, credit and medical histories, motor vehicle registrations, job applications, lawsuits, criminal files, and professional licenses. Choice Point owns a DNA analysis lab and facilitates drug testing for employers, another way to gather sensitive information since when you take a drug test, you must show your identification. If, if, if after reading this brief history on the credit bureaus, you cannot see the puzzle being formed, I suggest you do your own research. If you would like to invest Equifax, contact Christy Cooper, and she's the investor relations and shareholder. The phone number is 404-885-8300. And just to let you know, this book was let me see. When was this book published? So I could give you, it was published in Memphis, Tennessee for one, and it was copyrighted in 2006. So it ain't that far off. So I don't know if that person is still there, but we know HIPAA has been enacted since way a little bit after 2006. So I don't know how well that affects Equifax's information on healthcare things and stuff like that. The fourth largest credit bureau, which is hardly known, is Innovis Data Solution. It was formerly known as ABC Services. Founded in 1970 by Associated Credit Bureaus to provide consumer credit data to member affiliates, the company was sold in 1989 and changed its name to Consumer Credit Associates. First Data Corporation purchased the company in 1997 and renamed it Innovis Data Solutions. Peace. How credit bureaus work. Credit bureaus are private for-profit companies that collect data on the credit history of people to then sell it to the commercial and financial enterprises that extend credit. The bureaus get this information from many sources and consolidate it into one database that provides reports to different creditors to show all the credit history related to a particular person or company. Before the bureaus can collect any credit information, they must enter into an agreement with the different institutions that hold this data. These institutions are normally known as members or affiliate credit institutions. These companies make an agreement with the credit bureaus to give them information about the credit history of their customers in return for having access to the credit bureau's database known as eOscar. The terms of the agreement usually state what information will be provided, the number of times per month it will be given, and the responsibility of each company to guarantee successful data transmission. The agreement also includes confidentiality clauses, data security, and payment for service. When the credit information comes into the credit bureau's databases for the different companies, they are all updated by way of a 9-track tape or ribbon. This is simply an electronic update each month from the different companies. When updating, businesses use a digit code, 1 on time, 2 30 days late, etc. The software system eOscar performs a quality check on the information, such as looking for formal errors and data that does not correspond to the codes I mentioned earlier. Credit bureaus do not verify the content of the information they receive. The company sending the credit information usually does this. eOscar is the heart of the credit bureaus. If you can understand it and the laws that govern it, then you can basically control your credit file. I have provided you with parts of a letter that was written by Ms. Jennifer J. Johnson, Secretary of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, in which she speaks about the databases and the bureaus used to maintain information. Generally, while the vast majority of disputes about information furnished to consumer reporting agencies are received directly from consumer reporting agencies rather than consumers, banks treat all disputes similarly, investigating promptly and within the Fair Credit Reporting Act timeframes. In many cases, the process of receiving disputes from consumer reporting agencies and responding is automated. Later in the letter, she states, banks rely on their own records to submit information in an automated fashion using the codes, forms, and formats required by the consumer reporting agencies. The files or tapes are then submitted to the consumer reporting agencies on a monthly basis and uploaded to their systems. I put the last statement in bold because I wanted you to understand that almost every verification process that takes place between banks, credit card companies, is all done by codes and is automated. Remember earlier when I told you that creditors update their information on their customers by using what is called a ribbon? This is what Ms. Johnson is talking about in the sentence I have in bold print. The system that the banks is uploading information to is called eOscar. Ms. Johnson goes on to talk about the eOscar system. That system uses dispute type codes to identify the nature of the dispute in order to guide the furnisher in its investigation. After investigating, furnishers respond with the appropriate automatic code, either verifying that the information is correct or providing corrected information. Remember, everything is verified by automated codes. This means that limited information is provided, which makes it hard for the consumer. She adds, the eOscar system has an advantage of editing the dispute process so that the furnishers and the consumer reporting agencies can comply with the tight deadlines of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. By nature, an automated system means less can be transmitted and considered. In some cases, dispute codes lack sufficient specificity. It lacks the ability to be specific of the nature of the dispute because the consumer has provided insufficient information. In those cases, the furnisher relies on its own internal data information and process to investigate. Notice the words in bold. This very statement is usually what happens when you, the consumer, try to take the traditional route of questioning and correct accounts on your credit report. I'm sure almost every person who has tried to dispute inaccurate information on his or her credit report has received a letter from the credit bureau stating the account information has been verified as belonging to you. That is because the agencies are relying on their own internal system. This is why you must find a way to outsmart the credit bureau. So basically, you're always talking to a computer. So the goal is to stop talking to the computer. You know what I mean? Your zip code can hurt your credit rating. All credit bureaus have a system they use to ensure extending someone's credit will not come back to haunt them. Pay attention to the geographic code used in the form I've included. These codes help the credit bureaus and creditors diagnose how well you will pay your bills, depending on in which part of the town you live. Now, we know through reading the Strong Man that we don't use zip codes because that's giving jurisdiction.
We don't leave them as blank. We just leave them as zeros.
Yep, good job. Through these geographic zip codes, creditors or credit bureaus can distinguish whether you live in a low-income neighborhood, a middle class, or a very affluent part of town. They will also be able to distinguish the statistics on how likely you are to become delinquent on your bills or file bankruptcy. Car insurances do this as well. So does life insurance. This may sound like a conspiracy theory to some, but believe me when I tell you that their method is very real. The credit bureaus make money off your bad credit, not the good credit. They are in the business of selling your personal information to those companies who are willing to pay. So, so this is like a little form on page 11. The following information is reported to us by you, your creditors, and other sources. Each source may report your personal information differently, which may result in variations of your name, address, social security number, etc. As part of our fraud prevention program, a notice with additional information may appear. The geographical code shown with each address identifies the state, country, census tract, block group, and metro statistical area associated. So you just got like different post box office. So single family post office box is 0 to 21. Apartment is 0 to 2. And then, yeah, I don't really get how that's written there. But it just looks like a little form on there. So you're going to read how credit reports work. Yeah, and you could take us to the next chapter.
How credit reports work. Credit scoring is a scientific method that uses statistical modules to assess an individual's creditworthiness based on credit history and current credit accounts. Credit scoring was first developed in the 1950s, but has come into increasing use just the last 2 decades. In the early 1980s, the 3 major credit bureaus were Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. All worked with the Fair Isaac Corporation to develop generic scoring modules that allow each bureau to offer a score based solely on the contents of the credit bureau's data about an individual. Each credit bureau has its own unique system. However, the scoring modules have been normalized so that a numerical score at one bureau is the equivalent of the same numerical score at another. Thus, a score of 700 from Equifax indicates the same creditworthiness as a score from 700 from TransUnion or Experian. Even though the calculations used to determine these scores are different at each bureau, they are still the same. Creditors, especially in the mortgage industry, frequently use these scores known as FICO, F-I-C-O scores as an important factor in the decision whether to offer credit. The scores range from 350 to 850 points, but these numbers mean little on their own. They become meaningful and useful within the context of a particular lender's own cutoff points and underwriting guidelines. In general, you are likely to be considered a better credit risk if your FICO score is high. Under mortgage lending guidelines, for example, a score of 650 or above indicates a very good credit history. People with these scores will usually find obtaining credit quick and easy and will have a good chance to get it on favorable terms. Scores between 620 and 650 average FICO scores fall into this range, indicate basically good credit, but also suggest to lenders that they should look at the potential borrower to assess any particular credit risks before extending a large loan or high credit limit. And then people with scores in this range have a good chance at obtaining credit at a good rate, but may have to provide additional documentation and explanations to the lender before a large loan is approved. This means that their loan closing may take longer, make their experience more like that of borrowers in the days before credit scoring, when every individual was researched. A score below 620 may prevent a borrower from getting the best interest rates, as they may be considered a greater credit risk, but it does not mean that they can't get credit. The process will probably be lengthier, and as noted, the terms may be less appealing, but often credit can still be obtained. Also informative is the list of reasons that may be provided to account for why a score isn't higher. With each credit score generated, the credit bureau also creates a list of the 4 most significant reasons, either for a poor score or in case of a good score, for why it isn't perfect. The possible FICO reasons are: amount owed on accounts is too high, delinquency on accounts, due to bank revolving accounts, too many bank or national revolving accounts, too many accounts with balances, consumer finance accounts, account payment history too new to rate, too many recent inquiries in the last 12 months, too many accounts opened in the last 12 months, proportion of balances to credit limits is too high on revolving accounts, amount owned on revolving accounts is too high, length of revolving credit history is too short, time since delinquency is too recent or unknown, length of credit history is too short, lack of recent bank revolving information, lack of recent revolving account information, no recent non-mortgage balance information, number of accounts with delinquency, too few accounts currently paid as agreed, time since derogatory public record or collection, amount past due on accounts, serious delinquency, derogatory public record or collection, too many bank or national revolving accounts with balances, no recent revolving balances, and proportion of loan balances to loan amounts is too high, lack of recent installment loan information, date of last inquiry to recent, time since most recent account opening too short, number of revolving accounts, number of bank revolving or other revolving accounts, number of established accounts, number of recent bank card balances, too few accounts with recent payment information. People have become increasingly dependent on credit. Therefore, it's crucial that you understand personal credit reports and your credit rating or score. Here we'll explore what a credit score is and how it is determined, why it's important, and some tips to acquire and maintain good credit. When you use credit, you are borrowing money that you promise to pay back with a Oh my God. Within a specified period of time. A credit score is a statistical method to determine the likelihood of an individual paying back the money he or she has borrowed. The credit bureaus that issue these scores have different evaluation systems, each based on different factors. Some may take into consideration only the information contained in your report, your credit report. The primary factors used to calculate an individual's credit score are credit payment history, current debts, the length of credit history, and frequency of applications for new credit. You may hear the term FICO score in reference to your credit score. The terms are essentially synonymous. FICO is an acronym for the Fair Isaacs Corporation, the creator of the software used to calculate credit scores. Now, scores range between 350 extremely high risk to 850 extremely low risk. Below is a breakdown of the distribution of scores for the American population, 2003. What about a credit rating? In addition to using credit FICO scores, most countries, including the United States and Canada, use a scale of 0 to 9 to rate your personal credit. On this scale, each number is preceded by one of two letters. I signifies installment credit, like home or auto financing, and R stands for revolving credit. Oh my God, revolving credit, such as a credit card. Each creditor will issue its own rating for individuals. For example, if you may have a R1 rating with Visa, the highest level of credit rating, but you might simultaneously have a R5 from MasterCard if you neglected to pay your MasterCard bill for many months. Although the R and I systems are still in use, the prevailing trend is to move away from this multiple rating scale toward the single-digit FICO score. Nevertheless, here is how the scale breaks down. RO, or 1O, or IO, are new to the credit world, and you have an insufficient credit history for making an accurate judgment of your future risk. R1, or I1, you pay your credit bank in 1 month. R2, or I2, you pay your credit back in 2 months. R3, or I3, you pay your credit back in 3 months. R4, or I4, 4 months. And then R5 and I5, you have not repaid in like 4 months, but you are not a R9 yet. R7 and I7, your debt payments are made under consolation. What is consolidation?
Consultation?
Yes.
When you talk to somebody and they give you advice, like a fancy word for advice.
You basically need an assistant to do any of your payments now, because now you need to be under surveillance.
Well, people are starting to get back control over their ability to do their own thing with their credit reports and stuff like that. Especially if people get more and more educated on how the credit bureaus operate and how a lot of stuff isn't lawful.
R8 and I8, debt was cleared by selling the item, repossession. R9 or I9, you officially have bad debt default, which usually means it is not collectible. What makes up your credit score? When you borrow money, your lender sends information to a credit bureau that details, in the form of a credit report, how well you handled your debt. From the information in the credit report, the bureau determines a credit score based on 5 major factors. 1. Previous credit performance. Number 2. Current level of indebtedness. Number 3. Time credit has been in use. Number 4. Types of credit available. Number 5. Pursuit of new credit. Although all these factors are included in credit score calculations, they are not given equal weighting. The pie chart below shows how things are broken down. At the highest, we have 35% in the 100% pie chart. Previous credit performance. Next, we have 30% current level of indebtedness. 15% is time credit has been in use. Also at 15%, we have types of credit available. And lastly, 5%, pursuit of new credit. As you can see by the pie graph, your credit rating is most affected by your historical propensity for paying off your debt. The factor that can boost your credit rating the most is having a past that shows you pay off your debts fairly quickly. Additionally, maintaining low levels of indebtedness or not keeping huge balances on your credit cards or other lines of credit, having a long credit history, and refraining from constantly applying for additional credit will all help your credit score. Although I would love to explain the exact formula for calculating the credit score, the Federal Trade Commission has a secretive approach to this formula. Why your credit rating is important. When you apply for a credit card, mortgage, or even phone service, your credit rating is checked. Credit reports make it possible for stores to accept checks, banks to issue credit or debit cards, and corporations to manage their operations. Depending on your credit score, lenders determine what risk you pose to them. The table below shows how individuals with varying credit scores will pay dramatically different interest rates on similar mortgage amounts. The difference in interest, in turn, has a large impact on the monthly payments, which pay off both interest and principal.
What is it? Oh, the different percentages.
Yes.
Yeah. Although these are included in the credit score calculation, they are not given equal weight in the price. So 35% of your credit is previous credit performance, 30% is your current credit performance, 15% is time your credit has been in use, another 15% is the types of credit that you have available, and the 5% is the pursuit of new credit, which is the inquiries. And then and then they have a table that shows like what your payments would be on interest in addition to the interest based upon your credit score. So like say if you had your credit in the 500s to the 560s, you would have usually your APR, which is your annual principal rate, is about 9.3%, and that's about $1,200. But if you had like an 850, it will bring you to about $850, which is like a 400. It's like a six. It's like a $400 difference, like a $400 or $500 difference between the two, which is a big deal. $800 still a lot, and that's why we're learning negotiable instruments. Let's fuck both those numbers.
Credit bureau computer systems. Credit bureaus were originally meant for the purpose of providing a financial profile of a potential consumer to a lender. Now credit bureaus are used by everyone from landlords to database vendors. The relationship between credit bureau financial data with information provided to them by banks, mortgage companies, marketers, and credit card companies has made anyone seeking credit vulnerable to one of the most powerful database systems in the world. This database system is held by the credit bureaus. People today do not realize the relationship between database vendors and even the smallest entities such as grocery stores. Some grocery stores offer you what they call a plus card. This card supposedly gives you a discount on the things you purchase, but it captures and stores information about you, such as types of items you buy. This may be small peanuts to some people, but it's major league to others. This is merely something to think about the next time you are in a grocery store and you are asked if you are interested in a plus or a discount card. When you fill out the application for a discount card or a warranty card, this is a way of collecting private information that may be used by direct marketer databases. Direct marketers and insurance companies can buy your information so they can make you credit card offers. And if they can buy it, that makes for good business, even to a small grocery store chain. Many people do not understand how easy it is to get personal information on anybody. For instance, the Federal Trade Commission has a website called Edgar. On this site, you can obtain social security numbers for millions of people who have disclosed this information on different forms and filings. Think about whom the Federal Trade Commission is supposed to govern. Hint, the credit bureaus. If a bank made the numbers, made the names, addresses, date of birth, and social security numbers of all its customers available to the public, there would be a major issue. This is reality. And it's exactly what the credit bureaus are doing for anyone who is willing to pay. Below are a few addresses and websites that are made available to companies or individuals seeking to gain personal information on anyone they choose. LexisNexis, P.O. Box 933, Dayton, Ohio 45401-0933. HTTP www.lexisnexis.com. LEXISNEXIS. Then we have Information Resource Service Company 3777 N. Harbor Boulevard. Fullerton, Fullerton, California 92835. HTTP www.irsc.com. USA Data Link 6711 Bayway Drive, Baytown, Texas. Thinking TX 77520. www.usaDataLink.com. Then there's Acme information, ACME 164 Manningham Drive, Madison, AL 35758. HTTP iQuest.com/ what's that wiggly line that they use?
Hmm?
The wiggly line that they use for dashes.
I don't know. I know in math it's about around almost.
Yeah. LEAHWES/Acme, ACME. The Acme is uppercase INF.HTM. How credit bureaus establish your life. The credit bureaus have a database designed to retrieve files that allow them to identify each consumer. The system is mandatory because each credit file has to be separate, even when the names and addresses are similar. The problem with this is none of the credit bureaus has come up with a perfect system. That is why you will quite often see information on your credit file that belongs to someone else and who may have similar information. The credit bureaus try to maintain accurate records, but this is almost impossible. Equifax and Experian have two types of files on each individual. This is done so that the credit files cannot be merged. They use what is called a Type A system. TransUnion also uses what is called a Type B system that is established mainly on the consumer's social security number, employer identification number, EIN, or taxpayer identification number, TIN. If the consumer's name, address, and zip code do not match the last four digits of the social security number that is stored in the database, then a new file is created. You will understand why this is a problem for the credit bureaus later in the book. The type of A system that Equifax and Experian use allow consumers identifying information to be entered into the computer system in an attempt to match existing data. If no matching information is found, a new file is created. The credit bureau's computer systems are very sophisticated but simple. Their matching system is designed in the following format. Last name. The computer only identifies the first 10 letters of the last name. Letters must match an existing file, or a new file will be created and the computer will stop the search. If a match is made, the computer will proceed. Then first name. If the last name matches an existing file, the computer will then continue by searching for the first three letters of the first name. If the first name matches on existing file, the system will proceed to match other identifying information. Middle initial. After the first and last names have been matched, the computer will then check for the middle initial. If it finds a match, it will continue. And then spouse. If a person is married, the spouse's first initial will appear after the file holder's middle initial. If the person is not married, the computer will try to match other identifying information. Numeric address, when all the above information matches, the computer will try to match the first 5 digits of the numeric address. Then street name, the computer will match the numeric address with the first letter of the street. Zip code, the computer will match the address that is retrieved with the zip code. If the consumer has been at the address more than 3 years, the computer will stop. A search showing other people with similar names and addresses will cause the computer to merge the files, and a flag will be added to it. Then previous address. If the consumer has not lived at the residence longer than 3 years, the computer will check previous addresses. The credit bureau's computer system can hold up to like 10 previous addresses, but will usually list only the last 3. The date of birth. The system will match the consumer's year of birth only. Then 10, social security number. The computer will match all the previous identifying information with the last 4 digits of the consumer's social security number. If the number does not match the previous reported number, a flag will be added to the consumer's credit file. The credit bureaus also maintain files on employer identification numbers, EIN, and taxpayer identification numbers, TIN. If you are wondering if the following information is accurate, here is something to consider. When you call to request a copy of your credit report, take note of all the identifying information the automated computer system requests from you. Then think about the information that is required when you go to fill out your credit application. The credit bureaus need all the other identifying factors such as your name, address, date of birth, because they are not authorized to use your full social security number for the purpose of establishing a credit file. Because you give them so much information when you fill out a credit application, it is easy for the computer system to use the previously described method. If the credit bureaus were authorized to use your social security number to establish your credit file, they would have had access to more than the last 4 digits of your social security number when searching the PACER system for those individuals who have filed bankruptcy. Your social security number was created during the Great Depression for the purpose of establishing basically a savings account for individuals to retain after retirement. However, it has turned into something more than just a savings account number. And part of that is because the bank social security is broke.
Hola, wait and see.
And that's it.
That's it. We made it. So what did we learn? What did we read?
We learned of the things you need to look out for when it comes to your, trying to remember correctly, your credit files, as well as the information they're going to ask of you, which there are 10 of them. We also learned of the different places where you can look up other people's files. There are 4, which I named, and also the sites. You can even ask via PO box if they're stated. We even had the different percentages for the weightings for how to increase your credit score, as well as another confirmation that they don't have any money. The banks don't have any money. Honestly, I find it funny that was the last thing they had to say.
Also, learning about learning about the history of the credit bureaus. Hey, goddess. Learning about the history of the credit bureaus, what percentage of your credit is based on, the accounts you've had, etc., etc. Learning about how your zip code actually affects your credit as well, whether it's a reflection of you or not, for real, but it shows like how poverty stricken you are, so how likely you are to pay your stuff back. And then it was a lot. It was a lot. How you doing, goddess? A lot of information. So now we are going to get into day 15. We have made it to day 15 on Brandon Joe Williams' course. Learned a lot on the basis of the credit bureaus. And we shall move forward because we're going to stay focused. regardless of the chaos amongst us.
Video 15. Oh, I hope you guys are excited about this as I am, man. I am just absolutely thrilled. Oh, man. If I was like 70, I wouldn't need Viagra. Just do this. All right. This one's going to be an interesting one. The most powerful tool in all of law is called a conditional acceptance. It is an affidavit that states you will accept the terms presented under certain conditions. Then you make the conditions nearly impossible to handle because you list the laws and request proof of various things. Now, again, earlier we went over the definition of bill, true bill, a statement, because the statement is just an allegation. Now. We didn't go over in that video, what is the definition of allegation? Does it mean alligator? Does it mean does it mean Australia? Alligator? No. No. Macmillan Dictionary. Oh. Allegation. Alligator. Ooh. Oh, you seeing this, boy? I didn't even realize this shit. I mean, I kind of did. Look at this. Look at this definition. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Hold on a second. Bro, this is more exciting than like the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. I'm not a big sports fan. I play a lot of Dragon Ball. Me and my best friend, one of my best friends, we play Dragon Ball Z Fighter Z, which is this video game. It's like a super fast-paced fighting game. And we're both like top 4% on the planet. And it's like, dude, the only thing that gets me as fucking excited as that game, honestly, is this shit. And women. Allegation. Don't you want to have an allegation? Allegation. Don't you want to have an allegation? Allegation. Don't you want to have a pet alligator? Alligator. Don't you want to have an allegation? Allegation. Is it even in here? Ooh. Allie. Oh. Allegation. The assertion, declaration, or statement of a party to an action made in a pleading, setting out what he expects to prove. Whoa! Oh! Bro, are you seeing this? The assertion, declaration, or statement of a party to an action made in a pleading, setting out what he expects to prove. What the fuck, bro? That's like, yo, you're a little bitch, and I'm gonna prove it. Watch this. Like saying that he's gonna prove it, right? In ecclesiastical law, the statement of the facts intended to be relied on in support of the contested suit, right? So again, we clear up the word statement. A statement is an allegation. An allegation is A statement that someone has done something wrong or illegal, even though this has not been proved. So a statement is not proof of anything.
I'm in my comfy, cozy cardigan because it's therapy day today, and I've actually
a statement is the assertion, declaration, or statement of a party to an action. Fuck, that is interesting, bro. God damn. So check it out. I'm actually like totally realizing things, just teaching you guys this. Not just realizing how wonderful my penis is, but really realizing like actual interesting things here. Look at this. Then you make courts only see disputes. So a statement by definition is an allegation. So it's being like, yo, bro, I think maybe you owe me this money and I'm willing to prove it if need be. That's what a statement is, right? Now, when you say, fuck you, bitch, I don't know you shit, now we have a dispute. Bada bing. So courts only see disputes, right? And courts only see disputes, and by definition, a conditional acceptance is not a dispute, as courts will not accept it for it to be heard until the conditional acceptance is completed. This is how you say out of court. Now, this area I did a training video on. I'll probably put the training video in the free course. I'll probably leave it on the website, and I'll put it in the free course. That way we don't have to go over an entire conditional acceptance. I'm a little bit scared to go into it right now. I think I want to go through all of this and set you up to understand what a conditional acceptance is. And then in the next video, I'll put, this is before I started shooting the free course. I made this video on the conditional acceptance. So I'll put that one in there. And then I'm actually in the process of completing a much larger, more advanced conditional acceptance. I may put that video in the course too. So I'll probably put the one conditional acceptance, the first one I ever did, which I successfully got $13,000 written off. And then if I succeed in this second one, which I'm working on, they have like another 10 days or something to respond. If I get that one nailed down too, then I'll do a second one and I'll put it in the course. Okay. So a conditional acceptance is like this. There's two terms, and I don't think we've gone over this yet, but if we might go over it more and more and more. So you have honor and dishonor, right? So all of law, literally, law is a game, and it's a game of catch. That's like you want to bring law and lawyers and legal stuff down to like the most insane simplicity in the world. It's catch. It's catch, and the game of catch is I throw the ball to you, and you throw the ball to me, and whoever drops the ball loses the game. That's like so fucking simple. It's unbelievable, bro. And you send me a statement, and you say, yo, you send me an allegation, and you're like, yo, I believe you owe me this, or hey, I believe whatever, this, right? A conditional acceptance is, hey, you know what? I accept your presentment. I accept your allegation under the following conditions. Like, for example, let's say you get pulled over and you get a ticket. You know what? I accept your ticket. All you have to do is just prove for me where you feel like you get your authority from and where you get your jurisdiction from, and you prove to me which contract I'm involved in that gives you the right or makes you believe you have the right to write me this here ticket. And if you show me that evidence and that proof, I'd be more than happy to pay for the ticket. Be more than happy to finger your asshole there, officer. Now, if you do that, you're taking that ball and you're passing it on back. You throw it on back to the officer. All right, officer, you threw the ball at me. I'm going to throw the ball right back at you. Not like I'm going to throw the ball back at you, but it's like hey, we're playing a game of catch over here. Throw that ball back. And that cop catches that ball and he goes, what? He goes, how do you, what? Jurisdiction? How do you, what? How? Evidence of a contract? What do you, you're on the road. You're on the road. He might say something that, because he has no clue. He might say something really dumb like, oh, well, you're on the road. And he throws that ball back to you and you go, I'm on the road there. You say, officer, well, I conditionally accept your allegation that I'm on the road on the condition of the fact that you prove to me that I don't own this road as a beneficiary of y'all's United States. If I ain't no beneficiary and I ain't got no case law that says that as a traveler, just as a side note, I have case law that says that travelers who are traveling in their private automobiles actually own the highways, which is part of the right to travel pack from the James C. Lovett website. Now I'll tell you right here, officer, on the condition that you tell me that this case law right here, I got this quote, it tells me that if I'm traveling and my personal automobile ain't true, I'll grant you your jurisdiction. I will suck you off like a circus seal, toss your salad at the same time, motherfucker. Send that thing back. He says, what is this? I don't. And then he just gets mad or something happens and then he just disappears or God knows what. Right. And that's how you win. Cause then when you make the officer drop the ball, you the winner, fair and square. Now, what creates dishonor? When you get pissed and you attack the other person, you fuck you, motherfucker, blah, blah, blah. That's considered in law dropping the ball. When you freak out and you don't conditionally accept the offer and pass it on back as a friendly ass, basically the way it essentially works theoretically, super ultra theoretically, is it's almost like the officer wants to play a game with you. And if you end that game prematurely, it's like premature ejaculation for a woman, okay? The woman wants to have sex for more than 22 seconds, okay? Now, you're having sex for 22 seconds, and you start shaking, and she's sitting there, and she's like, her eyes are rolled up in the back of her head like she's being possessed by demons. And it's not a wonderful experience. She wanted a game. She wanted a fun game called sexual activity with someone who isn't a piece of shit. And what she got instead was not even a minute man, a 22-second man, which is really sad. And so the police officer is kind of in the same position. The police officer wanted to play a game. And you decided you wanted to come in 22 seconds. So that's sort of what dishonor is, essentially, in the most horrifically symbolized manner. So the way to stay in honor, dun, 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 like you think of yourself like a fucking knight, man, like a knight in shining armor with like a fucking dope ass like Knights Templar, long red ass fucking cape with like cool ass designs around the outside and then like a big ass cross in the middle. It's like polished to fucking perfection. And you've got the fucking helmet and you got the shield with the coat of arms, man. And you're like, got the sword and it's like made by the best swordsmith in town. Just the best. You know what I mean? To stay in honor, you play the game. You play the game. It's like you're walking along one day and someone says, hey, I want to play a game of chess with you. And you go, God damn it, you hot dog, I'm in. And then you sit down and you play chess with that guy and you play chess. And it's sort of a game where whoever is the one, it's like hot potato. What would be another example? It's like that one game, maybe it is hot potato, where you throw the thing around. It's like musical chairs. That's another one. So there's music, and then when it turns off, it's whoever is caught standing up loses the game, and whoever's sitting down, wins the game or whatever. And then you take the chairs out and this and that. It's the same thing. Law is literally the exact same thing. So when the music stops, whoever's caught with it in their hands and they don't know how to throw it back, or they can't throw it back, whoever's caught holding the balls in their hand, the sweaty balls, loses the game. So I'm trying to explain this in a way that's very simple and interesting. That's honor versus dishonor. Okay. So you get a bill in the mail. It's not a fucking bill. It's a fucking statement. It's an allegation. You receive an allegation in the mail, right? And whoa, it's like now when I get allegations, I just fucking laugh my ass off, bro. Oh my God. I'm like, damn, I'm going to use this thing next time I take a shit. So you get an allegation in the mail and you say, this is an interesting allegation. Thank you so much for sending this. Well, you know what? I accept your glorious allegation with the meatiest, girthiest cock you've ever seen in your entire life. And I am just stiff beyond belief as regards to your allegation. Now, I'm willing to accept your allegation under the following conditions. I need you to prove this to me because I'm just plain stupid. I don't. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. I need you to do this. And then you send it back and you give them a certain time limiter. So they don't have forever to do it. They might have 15 days or 30 days or whatever. Now, if you send them a conditional acceptance and they don't handle the things of which you're conditionally requesting to accept, they have officially dropped the ball. Now, when they drop the ball, their allegation evaporates into thin air. They lost the game. They wanted to play a game. They started the game. You played the game. They lost the game. The game's over. And that's how it works. Now, they might send you more shit because they're trying to start up the game again. I mean, actually, technically, the way that works is they're starting up a new game. Like, hey, you never paid this. We're going to come after you if you. It's like, bro, we played that game. You lost that game. It's over. Like, goodbye. Like, you can shut down all of the sequential games they try to create based off the first game. But my point is that first game is really pretty important. I mean, you can engage in any game you want. If they re-engage a second time after the first game is completed and you decide you wanted to play again, you can do that. And that's kind of how law works in a technical sense, right? So, but courts only see disputes by definition. Are we on me? Are we on the? Okay. So courts only see disputes by definition, and a conditional acceptance is not a dispute. So while we're playing our little game and we're throwing the ball back and forth and we're having a good time and having a good laugh, having some drinks, it's not in the jurisdiction or interest of a court until someone drops the ball and it becomes upsetting, right? Now, when you go into dishonor and you freak out, it becomes a dispute. So as soon as you freak out and stop playing the game and get angry or freak out or get mad, boom, now there's grounds to push your ass straight into a courtroom. So again, be chill, be relaxed, play games. It's all a game. Conditionally accept things. Learn how to conditionally accept things. Now, I'll tell you right now, conditional acceptance. This is not simple. This is not easy. I'll break it down. I'll break down a couple other videos as I do more and more of these things. This is not simple at all, right? But this is the big boy shit that when you learn this, you become pretty much invincible. Really, honestly, you can play any game. You're ready to go. Any presentment, any allegation, boom, you just jump right in. I'm ready to go. I got my fucking 80s sweatband on, bro, with the fucking Nike symbol. Like, I'm ready, dog. So it's worth the effort, but you have to realize up front it's going to be a lot of effort to learn these. So just to be totally honest with you, okay, this is not simple. This is not like the Form 56 like I had written before. It's not like you just have a form letter or a template. It's like they're pretty much custom made every single time for each individual situation. So you can use conditional acceptance for literally fucking everything. You can use it for traffic violations, tax problems, child protection services issues. You can use it for divorce proceedings. You can use it for business deals, commerce, joint ventures, everything. Christopher Hauser talks a lot about the conditional acceptance. He has a lot of examples. He has an entire Zoom meeting thing that you can't see on YouTube. You have to find somebody who actually has it. It's like a 2.5 or 3.5 hour Zoom meeting where he breaks down an entire conditional acceptance in a lot of details. I'm going to be breaking down some of my conditional acceptances as well. So a conditional acceptance makes you nearly invincible in law. Okay. Because if you receive an allegation, a conditional acceptance is an affidavit. So when you send in the affidavit, now it follows all of those same 10 rules of commercial law. Uh, 10 maxims. Maybe it's maxims. Yeah. So when you send back a conditional acceptance in the form of an affidavit, it says right here, an unrebutted affidavit stands as truth in commerce. So if you send that conditional acceptance back and they don't respond, you win. Truth is expressed by means of an affidavit. So a statement by definition is not truth. A statement by definition is an allegation. An affidavit is truth. So, yeah. He who leaves the field of battle first loses by default, number 8. So that one is also interesting because if they fail to respond or if they like run away or if they, like when I send in conditional acceptances, they usually just try to avoid me at all costs. It's actually very funny. Fine. I mean, if I send you in a conditional acceptance and you leave the battle, the field of battle, I win, bro. Everything that I wrote in my fucking affidavit becomes truth in law right then and there. So very, very interesting. You'll find that when you start writing these things, nobody ever responds to any of them because they are hoping that you'll just give up or just not respond or something. They're hoping for the easy way out, right? You write up one of these bad boys, and the first one took me a lot of effort and time, but frankly, after writing up the first one from scratch, boy, I could write up one of these fucking things in 10 seconds now. It's very, very, very empowering. I mean, you want to talk about big dick energy? Fuck, bro. Conditional acceptance is BDE like you wouldn't fucking believe, bro. I mean, huge, veiny, like a Snickers bar. I'm telling you, it is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. So highly recommend. It will change your life. You get bills and you get IRS letters and everything. You're just laughing, bro. You're legit laughing. So, I mean, it's empowering and freeing beyond belief. Filing documents and doing all this, it is freeing. It is badass. It is awesome. It is super nice. But at the end of the day, it's that sort of like confidence. It's that sort of unshakable personal certainty. That's really, honest to God, where the true freedom is. Like, for example, Christopher Hauser. He's like the passport thing, like all these papers, like revocation of election, like fuck all that. Like you literally just stand up, you say that you're a fucking, a king or a queen, and you tell everybody to go fuck themselves, and that's the end. And you're a king or a queen. And like, honestly, I don't disagree with him because I think the highest level really is a personal certainty, unshakable, 100% personal certainty and confidence. The reason why I'm doing this course and putting all this shit in here and putting in the passport and putting in this and putting in all the things that I'm doing is because I feel like for most people, the route to achieving that insane personal certainty and totally unshakable personal confidence is going through some of these more lower level certainties. Like I still need, acknowledgement or something from some other group, which is essentially what a passport is, right? You're still in that I need a license or I need acknowledgement from somebody else to really feel confident, right? Which is like almost like a lower level mentality in itself. But you're going to move up and through these other mentalities. Like, for example, you might send in a revocation of election and then they send back that you still owe money and you still have bills and you still have all this and you still have all that. It's like you have to, especially if you owe previous money. Oh, by the way, when I did my revocation of election, I didn't owe the IRS a penny, not one penny. So there's going to be a lot of people filing revocation of elections that owe money and stuff like that. I'm hoping that through all the stuff that I'm teaching you, that's why I'm teaching you so many different things from so many different angles. I'm trying to instill in you like true personal comfort and certainty. Like when you really, really, really know, and you really, really have all of the information, and you realize that they're writing these letters to a trust, and that they're praying to God that you're going to be operating as though you're the trust and not knowing that you're operating as the trust. It's like, or that the Title 26, Section 7806 that states that there isn't even an enactment clause that makes the Internal Revenue Code real at all. Or when you realize that it's a gift or bequeath or bequest or whatever the fuck it is to the United States. Or when you realize all these different things that I've been teaching you, that they help you, quote unquote, to be treated as though you're a resident alien, which means that you live in Washington, D.C. They change your status because you can elect to do so. It's like you can't elect to live in Mexico. It's like this whole weird, like, I identify as a fucking binary shooting star. Like, I identify as someone who lives in Mexico. It's like, dude, you either live in Mexico or you don't. Like, you know what I mean? So when you hit that level of personal certainty, and you're going to hit that level throughout, you're not going to hit it right away, but you're going to hit it as you're moving through all this and you learn more and more and more. The personal certainty aspect, just like Chris Hauser says, truthfully is the highest level. And that is the level that you should be going for at all times. And there is nothing. If I met someone and they were like, nah, bitch, like, I'm not going to file shit. I'm not going to do a passport, revocation of election. Let them try. Let them try to come to me and tell me that I owe them money. I would like to see it happen. That's badass. That's like, to me, that's the highest level. And I have like mad respect for that shit. I couldn't jump straight into that category. That was like a huge, giant jump for me. So I wanted to go through everything. I wanted to read everything. I wanted to file everything. I wanted to file every fucking thing I could possibly get my hands on or say or think of. And I developed my confidence and my certainty over a whole lot of studying and actions. So everyone's different. And but do realize that, that is kind of the pinnacle. Okay. I forget why I was even saying all that, but anyways, if you wind up forced into a courtroom, one of the most powerful tactics is to bring your own hired certified public recorder into the courtroom, thus making them anxious and feeling very careful about what they do or say. This is how you take control of their courtroom. It will piss off the judge, but it will also put them in their place as a public servant. You need to force these people to do their job in a fiduciary trust where they are the trustee as a public servant and you are the beneficiary. It is only you that will force these people to do their job. For them to do anything that doesn't benefit you is actually trust fraud. I mean, you shouldn't even be going into a court anyways, unless they basically essentially arrest you and force you to go. Like, anyway, you can just not go or just send back summons or just reject everything that they possibly give you or just avoid signing for anything. Like, obviously, when they come and they find you. Oh, this is actually an interesting time to go over this. So when someone asks you for your name and you give them your name, legally, you're now contracted to that person. It's kind of a weird point in law. Okay. So what happens is when they're going to serve you documents, they say, are you Brandon Williams? or are you Brandon Joe Williams? Once you say yes, or you present yourself after they say your name, then you're now contracted, and then they serve you the documents. Or if you're going to get served documents to the mail, they send you a certified mail, return receipt requested, and they require for you to sign it to accept it. We're going to be going over the mail later. When you do any of these things, you're contracting. And then basically they can say like, oh, well, we know for a fact that he got the papers because he was served, right? Now, there's a few ways you can get around all that. First and foremost, you don't have to, okay, like you hear about people getting arrested, right? And then they get read their Miranda rights. So the Miranda rights are anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, right? And you have the right, as your Fifth Amendment right, not to be witness to yourself or incriminate yourself in any way, shape, or form. So you've probably seen this in TV shows and movies like pleading the fifth, which means you're just not going to talk. You can always not talk. You can not, I mean, really, you can not talk all the time. The cop can pull you over and say, what's your name, son? And you just say, I don't answer questions. And what do you mean, son? Blah, 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 blah. With all due respect, officer, I don't answer questions. Well, if you don't answer my questions, then this and this is going to happen. Sir, even under threat, menace, and duress, I still don't answer questions. I mean, bad shit can happen, especially if you're kind of a dick about it. But, that's the whole point is that, someone asks you, what's your name? And you don't know who they are. And they look kind of weird. And they look like they're looking for somebody. I don't answer questions. I don't identify myself to strangers. Who are you? Oh, I'm blah, 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 blah. And they say, I'm looking for, Jim Johnson. I don't know who that is. No idea who that is. Because what's funny is that when you get the summons and you look at it, it'll say Jim Johnson in all capital letters. What that means is Jim Johnson, the trust located in Puerto Rico. So what's funny is that when he says, are you Jim Johnson? And you say, yes, what's happening legally in that situation is you're contracting as Jim Johnson, the trust. And that's why when you open the letter, it's going to be in all capital letters. So when you tell them, no, that I don't know who that is, I believe that person lives in Puerto Rico or whatever, you're actually telling them the truth. And that's what's so funny about the situation. Another thing you can do if you really want to confuse them is you say, my name is Jim Johnny Johnson, agent of trust known as Jim Johnson. How can I help you? That gets them just totally wildly chaotically confused. So your better bet is just to say, that's not me. I don't know who that is. That must be another person. You can use their own terminology against them. Oh, that must be another person. I'm not aware of I heard maybe I think he's in Puerto Rico, or you can say, oh, he must be another person. You can say, if you really want to be like completely technically accurate in what you're saying, oh, that must be another person. That's not me. That's true. So that's about getting served documents to the mail, getting served in person, and then also giving your name out and contracting to anyone who you give your name to or who you respond to your name, respond to them asking about your name. Okay. In law, that of which creates something has the power to destroy it. The people create and fund these offices of public servants and thus have full right of dominion to make sure they are not corrupt or destroy them if they are. This one, I thought about this one a lot. I'm not sure. I might delete this one or change it at some point. Because if you think about it, if they're a private for-profit corporation, then we don't really fund it. We only fund it if it's government, right? So you hear like, oh, our tax dollars at work and blah, 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 blah. If the government and all these government agencies are all private for-profit corporations, our tax dollars don't have anything to do with these corporations because our tax dollars go straight to the Federal Reserve. And then from the Federal Reserve, it goes straight to the International Monetary Fund and then straight from the International Monetary Fund to the United Nations. I don't think our tax dollars, even 1 penny of it, goes to any of these organizations. So this one's a little bit interesting. I think I might change this one or get rid of it, because it's not, if you think about it, we don't have a de jure government anymore. And a de jure government, our tax dollars, which would be a different type of tax, because this type of tax that we have now is completely unconstitutional. But let's say there was an excise tax or something like that, a legal one, a constitutional one. I could see something like that funding government offices or courts or whatever, right? Now, if that was the case, then this line would be true. In law, that which creates something has the power to destroy it, that is true all the time. The people create and fund the offices of public servants and thus have full right of dominion to make sure they're not corrupt or destroy them if they are. Yeah. So I don't know on that one. I don't think that's actually true now that I've studied this far along on this one. So conditional acceptance is an affidavit. Truth is expressed in the form of an affidavit. This is from the 10 maxims of commercial law. An unrebutted affidavit stands as truth in commerce. An unrebutted affidavit becomes judgment in commerce. This is more complicated. So there are 5 generic points that can be used in a conditional acceptance to utterly crush any legal presentment for court. Where is the alleged maritime contract? Your jurisdiction goes no more than 1 mile inland. So this is regarding to the sea jurisdiction, which is the commerce jurisdiction. It's basically all maritime law. It's all maritime contracts. So the jurisdiction goes no more than 1 mile inland, but because they've set us everything up to make it seem like everything's underwater, this is a very interesting way to basically challenge the jurisdiction of the presentment. I hope that makes sense. You're saying this is a commercial situation. So if this is a commercial situation, it's a maritime sea jurisdiction situation. Where is this alleged sea jurisdiction contract that you say that I have? Because I'll tell you what, all maritime jurisdiction contracts don't go inland for more than 1 mile. So how is this supposed to affect me or be as regards to me? So that's what that is, right? The second thing is who or what is being addressed as the defendant in all capital letters. Is the trust the defendant? I am not a trustee of that trust, and I'm only the beneficiary, right? So that's a very interesting point. It's like if they put your name on all capital letters, obviously, they're talking about a trust. And it's like, bro, if you want to go after a trust, why are you talking to me? Why are you talking to me, dude? Don't talk to me. Like, this is stupid. Is this court a constitutional entity? If so, is it an Article 3 or an Article 5 court? I get a little confused with the articles because David Straight says different ones. This is from Anna von Reitz, Article 3 or Article 5. David Straight says something different, like Article 2 and Article 5 or something like that. I forget. But anyways, there's a couple of different types of constitutional court entities. And that's what this is regarding to. Is this a constitutional entity court? If so, which article court is it, right? And then the next one is, where is the injured party named as plaintiff? If it is not a living man or woman, please explain who owns it, what is it, who is responsible for it. So you have the all capital name as the plaintiff, and it's like, okay, why is the trust suing me? Who is the agent of the trust? Who's the trustee of the trust? Plus you also got to think too, is that a trust can't sue a human being directly. So it's also like, well, wait a second, I'm a human being and this is a trust. The trust can't sue me directly. Thus there is no jurisdiction. Thus there is no communication, especially, if it's like an incorporation. An incorporation cannot sue a human being. A corporation can only sue another corporation. So this is a good point. I don't know if I really went over this earlier. So a corporation is like compared to a human being. Like one of the reasons why I'm so fucking confident about all this shit and everything that I'm doing and writing up all this shit and beating around all these agencies and stuff like that is because an incorporated government, quote unquote, has the same powers as a Taco Bell or a McDonald's. You wouldn't let a Taco Bell employee pull you over on the side of the road with fucking flashing lights and give you a ticket of 4 cheeseburgers because you were going 55 and a 35. Legally, it's the exact same idea. So again, I have gone over this before. When a de jure government, a real government, behaves as though and becomes a corporation, it loses all of its abilities as a government, and it becomes the same level as a corporation. So legally and truthfully, in the real world of law, human beings have like 9 billion times more power than a corporation. Like, to the point where you can literally, like, one person can crush the entire IRS with like 2 fingers. That's seriously how much power we're talking about in relation to a corporation. So it's a bit of a joke. These massive government agencies, they try so hard to give you the illusion that they're the big bad wolf. And the reason why is because they know deep down, it's just like in the movies and video games, you know what I mean? Like they try so hard to, the bad guy tries so hard to be the big bad this and the big bad this. And it's like people behave that way because they know it's not true. And they're trying like hell to create the illusion to make sure that you think that it's true. That way they don't find out that it's not true, because they think that once you find out that it's not true, then you're going to kill them or beat the hell out of them or disregard them. They're going to lose their power, which is true. But just realize everything's incorporated, everything. So once you step out of it and become a full human, you're literally like a god walking the earth. And these organizations and they're companies. These companies, including the courtrooms, are like 9,000 levels below you. So they're going to give you a summons. You aren't going to summon shit. I'll summon you to my fucking apartment, bro. Like, that ain't happening. You know what I mean? So once you fully realize, now, does that stop the police from beating you over the head with a club and handcuffing you and dragging you into a courtroom? No, that's a whole different situation. But as long as that's not happening to you, you're the one in control. Once that happens, you really do need to have like a lot of the advanced court-related activities, court-related things nailed down to some degree if you want to try to win in that situation, challenging jurisdiction, etc. But right up to that point where you're bludgeoned and handcuffed and taken into a courtroom, you should be pretty solid. So yeah. And people are like, oh, well, this shit's going to get you in trouble and this shit's going to get you arrested. Bro, you could get arrested for some dumb shit tomorrow. You can get arrested because someone thinks that you're the guy who robbed the 7-Eleven down the street. Like, you don't know. Life is fickle, bro. Enjoy it while you can. All right. Number 5. What jurisdiction this one's the hot one. This one's the one that gets my dick hard. What jurisdiction or authority does this court or its officers have to address fraudulent claims to my attention? So this is like a really interesting way of saying like these documents that I was given through the mail was mail fraud. And if they were hand delivered, that was trespassing. So like what these people basically like fraudulently gave me these documents or whatever. So like, how can this court, like what power does this court have to help me handle these issues of the way in which I was dragged into this courtroom illegally, right? And it's an interesting way of just kind of saying in general as well, like what authority or what jurisdictional right do you have to do anything? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, they might tell you, one of the things that they often say that gives them jurisdiction over you is the parents patrae, which parents patrae. the parents patriae doctrine, I believe it's called. The government or any other authority regarded as the legal protector of citizens unable to protect themselves. Parents patriae jurisdiction. Okay. What this means is that it's kind of like when you take on a lawyer, right? You're saying I'm a child, I'm a retard, I'm insane. So that would fall under the parents patriae, right? And one of the things that David Straight talks about that I think is really interesting is he says, you ask the judge straight up, like, do you state or claim that your jurisdictional right of authority over me comes from parents patriae? And it's like, if they say yes, you say like, yo, I'm here sui juris. Like, I'm here in propria persona. I'm here presenting myself. Like, I'm not taking on a lawyer. I'm not a fucking retard. I'm not insane. So that means that you don't have parents patriae with me, bro. So that means you don't have any jurisdiction over me. That means this whole thing that you're doing right now, bye-bye. And then you can say like, do you feel that your authority or jurisdictional ability comes from statute, which we've been talking about a lot in this course? And it's like, well, yeah, they could say yeah to that. And that's like, well, what statute? The United States Code or this or that. Or if you're in tax court, they would say the Internal Revenue Code. And then you just say, oh, so you're telling me that your authority over me and your jurisdiction over me comes from the Internal Revenue Code? Well, yeah, of course. Oh, bro. And then you just tell them all the shit you've been learning in this course. Oh, my Lord, they lose jurisdiction. Once they lose jurisdiction, they lose everything, the whole court case. This is fucked up. I'm going to say it. If you murdered a bunch of people, and I'm not kidding, and you found a way to break their jurisdiction, the entire court case would fall apart completely, even with mountains of evidence. So I know that's a fucked up example. That's probably never going to happen because they would probably literally just put them in jail anyways, just to satisfy the media and stuff like that, or God knows, I'm just giving a really extreme example just to show you and just to illustrate the fact that jurisdiction is everything, dude. Everything is jurisdiction. Like, I don't know if we've ever looked up the word here in Black's Law. Jurisdiction is what I need. Oh, jurisdiction is what I dream of. Oh, jurisdiction, can you give me some jurisdiction? Can I have some from you? I just want the jurisdiction of your love. I just want the jurisdiction of your bra on my face. I just want the jurisdiction of some cash in my wallet. But don't you want to give me jurisdiction? A jurisdiction. I just want some jurisdiction. Don't you want to give me jurisdiction? I just want some jurisdiction. All right, here it is. It is the authority by which courts and judicial officers take cognizance of and decide cases. Check that out. Meaning, if they don't have jurisdiction, they cannot decide cases. If they cannot decide the case, there's no dispute. Courts only see disputes. The entire case fizzles into dust. That is jurisdiction. It's got nothing to do with what you see in the movies. It's got nothing to see. Look at this. The legal right by which judges exercise their authority. Without jurisdiction, they have no authority Do you know who the authority is if they don't have jurisdiction? You are, motherfucker. You are. You say, I'm innocent. Boom, you're instantaneously innocent. You could literally, if you say I challenge jurisdiction, and they say, oh well, it's through parents patre and through statute, and you say, no, I'm here on my own. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm here sui juris. I'm here in propria persona. I'm here presenting myself. I don't have a lawyer. You don't have parents patre doctrine. And for statute, no, I've already done my revocation of election. I've already done this. I've already done that. I've already done my passport. I've already done all these different things. And I'm not in any of those statutes. So you don't have the legal right to exercise your authority in this courtroom. So I'm going to stand here and say that I'm innocent of this court case, court adjourned. And you just walk out. Because the thing is that if they don't have the authority, who does have the authority? You do. So that is it is the authority, capacity, power, or right to act. So look at this, dude. Look at this. This is beautiful. I don't think I've ever really taken the time to look at all these. It is the authority, capacity, power, or right to act. They literally can't do anything without jurisdiction. Cops can't do anything. Lawyers can't do anything. Dude, nobody can do anything. That's why I'm telling you, when you handle jurisdiction and you handle your status and you handle your shit and you have your passport and you know all the terminology and you do all these different things, what happened is you're taking away all of their jurisdiction over you. You don't have jurisdiction anymore. 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 And that's why it's called a sovereign, because you stand alone, and the only person with any authority or capacity or power to write or act or right to act is you. You are the only one who has the power to decide. You are the only one who has the ability to say what the truth is. You're the one who decides who's guilty or innocent or any of these things. You become the judge, the jury, the executioner, the president, everybody. And jurisdiction is the crux of it all. It's not as high on the scale technically as trust law, obviously. And like I said, contract law is really high up there too, because you can contract into anything with power of choice, right? But jurisdiction is kind of like over here, kind of. It's like, it's not the same kind of a thing, but it's very, very high still, like on the overall like pyramid scale kind of thing, however you want to say it. Anything else good here we should look at? There's different types of jurisdiction. There's person jurisdiction. There's subject matter jurisdiction. I'm not totally sure. I believe person jurisdiction, I believe that means like the whole domicile residence, like the fact that they actually have authority over you as a person, like as a being, like in terms of your location, in terms of their ability to judge over you. And then I think subject matter jurisdiction has something to do with it says here, a jurisdiction of class of cases to which particular case belongs. I'm not totally sure on all of that. I don't think there's any other types of jurisdiction. I think those are the two main ones. Anyways, I don't want to get too much into all this, again, this is all stuff that if you really want to go down this rabbit hole, you can study the different types of jurisdiction, and you can study case law and how people have challenged jurisdiction and figured out jurisdiction. And you can go into all sorts of cool stuff with that if you really want to go down that road, right? This course is more like a generalized study of like most people who aren't going to wind up in a fucking courtroom or whatever, right? So you won't learn how to do a conditional acceptance overnight, but the long road it takes to learning them will give you peace of mind for yourself and your friends and family in life. This is a conditional acceptance is basically like how to handle your entire life and all allegations and all presentments and all difficulties all the way up to and honestly kind of including to some degree being in a courtroom. So if you're really scared about being in court and you're really scared about when people send you bills and when the IRS sends you bills and stuff like that, by learning how to do a conditional acceptance, all that fear and terror is going to be completely annihilated, because most of the time, most organizations, companies, even people you do business with, they don't want to wind up in a courtroom. It's not litigation and getting involved in court cases. It's not really a big thing. Plus, when you're a state national and you get your passport and everything, they can't really sue you for shit. It's like basically almost impossible to sue you at that point. Like me, it's like literally basically impossible to sue me because they actually literally don't have person jurisdiction at all, and they know it. And also because I have to be tried if it were to go to trial, like for example in the Constitution, anything over $25 grand jury.
Wow, I just built the most amazing workflow on Monday.com.
In common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20. Now, this is really interesting because there's the word exceed. So that would be 21 and above, not 20, but exceed $20. The right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise reexamined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law, right? I believe that's right to a trial by jury, but right to a trial by grand jury, right? So anything more than $20, you can actually request a grand jury. So yeah, it's just one of those things where when you know all this stuff, you no longer really care that much. I mean, to get me into a courtroom is like nearly impossible at this point. And honestly, like it does kind of scare me, I guess, a little bit about the fact that if I ever were to be forced into a courtroom or whatever, but like, I feel like I could handle it. I mean, you challenge jurisdiction. That's one way to do it. And then, like I've said in the previous videos, another way to do it is just simply ask the definitions of words and just pretend like you don't really get it, right? If you don't, the word understand is a weird one. It actually means like the legal definition of under and stand. If you take the two different words together, it actually means like, do you stand under my authority? So it kind of sucks because when they say, do you understand, like a cop or a judge, what they're saying is, do you stand under and subject yourself to my authority like a bitch? You got to be a little careful. You'll learn some of these words are on my website, and you'll learn this as you go through some of this, right? But if you sort of like really don't get what's going on, and you try as hard as you can to stay away from the word understand, I don't comprehend this, I'm just not tracking, blah, blah. The court case and the legal proceedings can't really continue until you are no longer lost and confused. So you can kind of just pretend that you're probably actually literally going to be lost and confused though. So it's not really pretending, but you're basically like constantly communicating I'm just not comprehending this. Like, what does this word mean? And what does this word mean? And what does this term mean? And what does this phrase mean? I am just not, how can you do this? And how can you do this? And why did he say that? And you can just go on and on and on and on and on. And especially if you really don't get it. And that's another way that you can sort of annihilate the whole thing. But if you're pretending, they're not going to like that. Or if you're being a dick, they're not going to like that either. But anyways, jurisdiction is a big one. Changing all your shit and getting everything cleaned up is a big one, because then you can't even wind up in a courtroom anyways. So they can send me all the allegations they want. I mean, they can do shit. So yeah, I think that's all we'll do for this video. I think I've kind of beaten it to death. I'll go ahead and put I'll most likely put the conditional acceptance video that I shot before after this video. So you'll get the conditional acceptance video, and then the next day we'll pick it up at video 16. And I think that's how we'll do it. So, oh man, this course is just so fucking intense, dude. Oh, I hope you guys are really getting it and loving it. Anyways, have a good circus seal.